What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Today on the program, I have Jodi Meltzer. She's an author, a children's book author, amongst other things. She does a lot. She helps people. And you're going to find out more about Jodi Meltzer in the next few minutes. So stick around. This week's shows, I have one public show, my trusty Friday night gig. At least 50 weeks out of the year, I'm at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. The stage is yours. We got a little concert starring each and every one of you at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Now, that one's 21 and older, so, they got a full bar. The kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool, possibly make some money while you're at it, while you're waiting to sing on stage next to yours truly, come on out to the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the AM. So exciting. Always a good time at the Rab. And then Saturday. I usually leave Saturdays open for weddings, parties, and events. But this Saturday, I got an open day. I'm so stoked. I get to have a day off. But, I'll probably be doing some recording or yard work. Yard work. That's what being a homeowner is. Yard work. Fixing something up around the house. And that's a good thing. That's cool. I have fun. I'm very happy about that. Very happy to be where I'm at. All right. I think that's enough intro for today. Let's get into it with Jodi Meltzer, author. She's got a couple books out there for your kids to read. One book about, where babies come from, kind of. And then another one about dealing with grief. So let's get into it with Jodi Meltzer. Skyping Jodi Meltzer now. And here we go. My goodness, there's a smiley face on my screen.
I'm so ridiculous with this stuff. I really am.
I don't think you're ridiculous at all. Now, you don't have a Bluetooth headset, anything like that?
No.
Okay, you sound just fine to me.
Well, I purposefully got this computer because I guess you don't really need it. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've done this many times. I've never had an issue.
No worries.
Except for with my child in the background, which I think I've handled.
No, just a headset would cut down on the echo as I hear a lot of room noise. But that sounds great. That's fine. This is real life. This is Jodi Meltzer. What's up?
What's up? How are you?
It's so good. Hey, for those people that don't know who you are, give the people an idea of who Jodi Meltzer is. Nice to meet you, by the way. My name's Dan. Keys Dan from the Florida Keys. I heard something about you recently, or at least I read something about you. Are you in Florida?
I am in Florida. I moved to the Sunshine State about a year ago. I was in need of more sunshine, literally and figuratively, as I say. So, native Bostonian, or the suburb of Boston. But I've been here in the Tampa area for about a year, and I love it so far.
Well, I like Tampa.
I don't really have...
Well, I'm from the Florida Keys, born and raised in Miami, Florida Keys, Fort Lauderdale, went to high school in Fort Lauderdale. But I spent some time in Tampa. It was so funny. I did 2 weddings in a row, one Saturday, then I drove back down home, and then I got called back for another wedding in Tampa. And I said, well, I think I'm going to move to Tampa. I'm an official tampon now.
Okay, I haven't heard that expression, but I keep that one on the DL. But you're welcome in Tampa anytime. Another reason I'm here.
Oh, did I say that wrong? It's the home of Burt Reynolds. R.I.P. Right? I guess he's gone, but not forgotten. I know he spent a lot of time in Tampa.
Oh, so I didn't know that. I get accused of stalking Tom Brady coming here because it is a pretty fascinating coincidence that I moved here shortly after he came here, but still a Patriots fan regardless of where I live now.
Jodi Meltzer, are you a stalker? Are you stalking Tom Brady? You came from Boston all the way down to Tampa just to be with the man, the legend.
It's a little inside joke that I just shared with all of your viewers here. But otherwise, besides stalking Tom Brady, I mean, definitely not Gronk. I felt like he was a little bit of a traitor coming out of retirement, but I digress. So anyway, I am an author and a writer and a mom. I would say that that's a good Cliff Notes version of me. And I have a couple of books out, one called When You Lived in My Belly and the other one called Good Night Star, Whoever You Are.
Yeah, now these books are very recent. You've been a writer for a long time, as far as I can see, but you really only, well, I mean, shoot, I've not written a book, let alone 2 books. That you're starting to build that shelf, Jodi Meltzer shelf on the bookstore, and this is an accomplishment that, yes, people often think, I think I'll write a book. What am I going to write about? And the first thing is write about your life. Write about things write about what your experiences are. And you, okay, I know, okay, you say you stalked Tom Brady. I've stalked you a little bit. Social media makes it easy to find out a little bit more about people than maybe people want, other people to know. You keep your pages private, people can still see quite a few things. It's a dangerous thing out there in the internet, but it can be used for good. But I found out, you're a recent mom. I guess your child must be 10, 12, somewhere in there.
Yes, I have a 12-year-old biological child, but I also have a bonus daughter who's 25. So I'm definitely busy. I've been at it for a while.
Well, how did that happen? How did that change your life? How did that change you from, you started out writing for various publications. You could talk about that, but then, when the child came, was it around 2010, if I can remember what I read? I'm not reading it right now because I'm paying attention to you. All right, but
you're getting the bonus points right there with
okay.
The birth year, correct birth year, might I add? Yes.
Hooray.
Yeah, so I've written for various publications, including, Huffington Post and The Mighty and Scary Mommy, all sorts of publications. And mostly, obviously, in the first person, for the most part, not exclusively. I've written a lot about divorce and grief and just momming, in general, if that's a word. So I've done that for years, and I was also a primary caregiver for my mother who had ovarian cancer. Sorry to change the tone here, but I was her primary caregiver for 12 years almost. And during that time, we would try to have as much fun. I know it sounds interesting and crazy, but we would try to make light of chemotherapy as much as we could. I mean, so during those times we had these incredible conversations. And one time my mom disclosed to me that it was her dream to write a children's book. And this, pretty much blew me away because she had never intimated in, almost 40 years of conversations, and she was the best friend I ever had in my life. So I was like, what are you talking about? That came way out of left field. And it just stuck in my head. So when she died, I became literally obsessed with the concept that I absolutely have to write a children's book, despite the fact that I had built a readership based on my, snarky jokester ways, but also, I can write in a really poignant way, and I'm 100% transparent and real. So there was a delicate balance there, but I certainly wouldn't pigeonhole myself as like the person that you would think would be a children's book author. But I decided I absolutely had to fulfill her dream. And it took me 5 years to do it. To your point, I was literally lost for an idea for quite some time because I was grappling with so much grief. It was profound, and it was really difficult to wade through that to figure out, okay, now I'm going to write a children's book, and what is that going to be about? And serendipitously, one day my son asked me, Mom, what was it like when I lived in your belly? And I thought, what a great idea for a book. And did some research, found that, really wasn't a saturated book idea at all. I mean, I didn't find another book like mine. And I decided to write it and see it through, which is the other key. You have to decide, of course, to write a book and, go through that whole editing process and get it to prepare to go to market, but then actually, see it through the whole publishing process and everything. So that book did really well, much better than I anticipated, frankly. And then I wrote another one.
Well, that question, and first of all, I'm sorry for your loss. When did you lose your mom to cancer?
I lost her almost 9 years ago.
Okay, let me say cancer sucks. Everybody in this world has been touched by cancer in one way or another. Let's eradicate that thing. Come on, scientists, get with the program. Do your stuff, do your thing. And I heard rumor that AIDS might be getting cured to switch it out. It's just something that I just heard today that a guy who had it for a long time might be cured. So we might be getting close. Science is going to catch up here. Unfortunately, it didn't catch up.
There's definitely been significant progress on that front, for sure. Yeah. I mean, from when it was in the 80s to where we are today, where it's more of a chronic, livable condition. I would love to see cancer get to that point, especially certain types of cancer that don't get as much attention and research dollars as others. Like my mom's, ovarian cancer is not one that's 1 in 8 get breast cancer. So it's just a different type of disease.
Yeah, but that's one that hits hard. Once it gets there, it metastasizes everywhere, right? My grandfather had lung cancer. Of course, he smoked, and as soon as he had lung cancer, my mom quit smoking that day, cold turkey. Sometimes it takes having that personal, that sight, but cancer just comes. I have it all throughout my family. I'm waiting for that day that maybe it's going to happen. Hopefully never. And I like the idea that you said that you had fun with your mom. It's not dying of cancer; it's living with cancer. This is just another obstacle of life that you have to get through. And it looks like you had a good time with your mom in her last days. She gave you her dreams, and then you are she's living. I don't know if you could live vicariously after you pass, but whatever the equivalent of that is, you're carrying on her dream, and in that respect, she lives forever, right?
Yes, I mean, and she was frankly beyond hilarious. Anyone who knew her, I mean, I knew that I became an adult, not in typical fashion. It was really because my mom used to kind of push me aside, not literally, but she would push me aside and tell my friends' parents or coaches or teachers like completely inappropriate, dirty jokes, and everyone would be like in tears laughing. And she was one of those people who could just tell a joke and you didn't even know she was telling a joke, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's a joke. I do not have this ability. It just skipped me in the genetic pool. But when she did not like kind of make me go away, I was like, wow, I am an adult in my household. I can hear the jokes now, so I'm an adult. But yeah, I mean, there is something. It's beyond. If you have a certain sense of humor, and humor sustains me, and it certainly sustained her, but everyone's donning hazmat suits and can't touch anything, and it's literally going to be pumped in her veins, and she found that to be like beyond ironic. So, but we had incredible conversations and an intense bond that will never be duplicated.
Well, it sounds like
but
you gained a lot.
She definitely lived on as much as she can through me, and I see her in my son's eyes often.
All right. Well, what did you learn from your mom? I guess you got a sense of humor that fun stuff. What did she do in her life, and what did you glean from the work that she did? And then maybe your dad, what did he do?
Yeah, I mean, she was the type of person, don't worry about something unless you have something to worry about. If you're going through hell, keep going. That type of a personality, not like your daughter who will sit up, 3, 4 a.m. and contemplate life and everything that could potentially happen. So sometimes I'll hip check myself based on her lessons, because she had so many issues that she was dealing with, and it could have kept her up for days on end, and she just did not allow that into her headspace. She tried to remain positive and present as much as possible. So I carry that with me, and I often hear her in my head like, come on now. My father instilled an incredible work ethic. I remember when I was, 13, 14 years old, he told me, like, let's go to the mall. I was like, fabulous. All right, let's go. And we get to the mall, and he's like, you have until the end of the day to get a job. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? We're not close. I mean, I'm not getting some like Silver City pink lipstick or electric blue eyeliner. I'm a queen of the 80s. Like, what's happening here? But, I was babysitting, but he thought I could do more. I could contribute more. He's a completely self-made man. He really worked very hard for everything he had, and he did not want me to be raised like a different way based on the fruits of his labor. So yeah, he really instilled that work ethic in me.
Well, okay, that's a great joke that Dad played on you. Okay, my dad wasn't around so much, but my grandfather played that figure, and I remember he was the type of guy who would be, people are always giving me excuses on why they can't work. I'm too sick. I'm too tired. I'm only 6. What job did you end up getting? Did you get that job in the mall?
Oh yeah. I mean, the woman who owned a flower store like completely took mercy on me. She told me in later years, because I did sustain that job for a while. She told me, she was like, I didn't even need someone, but just the way that I kind of presented my quandary at the moment, like, hey, I'm in the mall until I find a job, and I'm creative and artistic, and I think I could make floral arrangements or whatever I said. And she did. She took pity on me, and it wound up working out. Oh my, but he really, I'm a very hard worker. Yeah. And I've always been that way, a really driven person. And that was instilled in me, certainly by my father.
That is fantastic. Kids need to get jobs. Now, okay, a small political here. The $15 an hour thing, it's going to put kids out of those bag boy jobs, bag girl jobs, out of those, cart pushing, busing jobs, dishwashing jobs. You can't pay everybody $15 an hour. The kids that are, doing summer jobs, I fully believe they don't need $15 an hour. They need that $8 an hour or that $6 an hour, whatever, just enough to get them some spending money to go, around said mall, maybe go to the movies, maybe spend some bubble gum money. But yeah, the $15 an hour is putting the kids, the ability for dad to take his kid to the mall and get her a job. And I had a mall job too. I worked at Swenson's Ice Cream at Broward County Mall. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was fantastic. I'm 16 years old, or 15 or 16 years old, working the fountain, the waiting, the cooking, the busing, the dishing. Yeah, I did all that. But flowers, that's fantastic.
I followed that up. I followed that one up with a still model job, where I was a model that would literally have to stay still in the mall for this clothing store. And all of my friends would come and try to make me laugh. And it was just not really the job for me. So clearly with my sense of humor.
No, the living mannequin. What a fantastic job. No, the living mannequin. What a fantastic job. That's a great job. Oh, my goodness. I remember going to San Francisco one time, and one of those guys that was all painted silver was kind of standing there with his hand out. And, I put a quarter in it. And I'm wearing black and white striped shirt. I'm, once again, 15, 16 years old, walking through San Francisco going, let me try this. I'm standing on the boardwalk there. I put my hand out, kind of real quiet and still, and somebody put a quarter in there. I was jazzed. It was my first paid gig in the entertainment business. No, I wouldn't consider that my first paid gig. But my goodness, you're a living model, and people trying to goof off with you. That's a thing. That's fun.
That was funny at 16. And, I really haven't discussed that or even thought about it in a long time. So thank you for that.
No, I love this stuff. This is the building blocks of you. This is primarily a learning podcast, and I want to learn about Jodi Meltzer. Yeah, you can go to jodimeltzer.com. I'll get that out of the way right now. There's books. She's selling books, and she's got good books, for the kids right now, and it's good subject matter. The reason, and I fully believe
and articles too.
Well, I fully believe
I have a bunch of articles
that where did I come from is a question that gets asked of moms and dads all the time. And some of the moms and dads, for whether they be, I'm embarrassed or religious reasons, they'll shun you. I grew up Catholic. I didn't know about sex. In sixth grade, I took sex ed at a Catholic school, and I learned nothing. And where I come from, where have I been,
Yeah. So I'm not going there with this book. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about it's a month by month storytelling of pregnancy. So from what are you doing in utero during the first month, second month through 9, and then what is the corresponding changes that are happening with the mom. So the first month, what the mom might be feeling, what the mom might be thinking, and then when do physical symptoms of pregnancy appear, all that kind of stuff. And so I really did a bunch of research, certainly on what happens in utero, but then I corresponded it with a lot of I went through pregnancy. So the changes that myself and other people I interviewed, what was happening around month 4, you're talking about getting the anatomy ultrasound. Do you want to know the sex of the baby? Do you not want to know? You're getting cravings for different foods or whatever. So it's a storytelling of pregnancy from both vantage points, which is really cool because moms, of course, they remember their pregnancies, some all too well. But children don't. And when they see a pregnant, pictures of their mom pregnant or other pregnant women, they have questions and they wonder, what was it like when I lived in your belly? So this answers that question. And I'm completely debunking the, stork myth. I'm not perpetuating anything like that. Go somewhere else. It actually has pictures of, the artist of the book is my lifelong friend from kindergarten. Her name is Jodi Kamara. She actually illustrated the book. So this was a labor of love in every sense of the phrase. And I really had a vision that I wanted to show the baby in the belly, it's not just in an abstract way. So we have a nice kind of combination there visually. It's a pretty visually compelling book.
So no birds, no bees, no storks in this book at all. I remember I was just reading recently the diary that I used to keep when I was a baby. And I remember, I started at the beginning and it said, day 1, still tired from the move. Day 2, everybody talks to me like I'm an idiot. These are jokes, people. These are jokes.
I got it.
No, but this is...
And that is true.
Yeah, this is an important
Everyone's
thing.
talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, yeah.
And then my second book called Good Night Star, Whoever You Are, that was actually, it's a book about grief for children because, to your point about cancer, my kids lost their father to kidney cancer. My bonus daughter was 21 and my son was 8. So interestingly, and my bonus daughter as well, when I met her, she had lost her mother at age 4. So she's really grappled with just intense, profound loss, and she's only 25. So when she was younger and we would take long car rides, she would always look up at the stars. And I don't know if you ever experience this, but sometimes it just seems like a star is following you in the car, and she would always say, I think my mom sent that star, maybe that's why it's following me. And it was just a part of her imagination. I think coping mechanism. It really made her feel good to connect that star with her mother. And interestingly, a decade later or more, my son and I were driving home from the beach, and he did the same exact thing with a star, and he equated it with maybe my dad sent that star. And I couldn't believe it, because it's something that they both did independently without knowing. Obviously, certainly my stepdaughter wouldn't know, but my son didn't know. I never shared that with him. So I just figured, talking about that must be comforting to kids and something that they could potentially relate to.
But you're saying that they independently came up with similar ideas, because I've looked at the moon. Did. And the moon certainly does follow us. You can see it when you're driving in your car, when you're walking down the street, the moon follows you. And a star that they could pick out individually, a star to represent their departed parents. That's an amazing thing. We're all the same and we're all different. People that think that we're different in this world, we're not. We're not. We all want the same things. We just go about it at different ways. We have different ideas of how to get there. Food on the plate, money in the pocket, roof over the head, kids that are healthy. Not necessarily all in that order. Maybe the healthy kids first instead of the buck in your pocket. Right. But you've gone through so many things in your life. With the death, the divorce. What was the 3 Ds that was in the Witches of Eastwick? Death, divorce, the desertion. That's the way that people leave you in certain times of your life. And I think they were all dealing with that kind of a thing. But you've put this subject matter into a way that's consumable for children, a way to get them to grieve. We worry about our kids, and if we don't have the ability to talk to them, we need people like you that have researched it, that have gone through the trouble. Yes, what makes you an expert to talk about childbirth? Well, you went through it and you remember some things, and then you researched it and wrote it down. This is a superpower. I'm guessing you're not a doctor or a nurse or a paramedic or anything.
Nope, I definitely have a cape. You don't see it. I definitely have one.
No, Edna said no capes, no capes. If you're going to be a superhero, not all superheroes wear capes.
Yeah. No, I think that also, I was inspired by my children to write Goodnight Star, whoever you are, but it was also during a time of collective grief with COVID. We were all going through a period of collective grief, whether we realize it or not, because life had dramatically changed as we knew it. And of course, a lot of people did lose loved ones unexpectedly. So it kind of coincided with that collective period of mourning when the book was, being finalized and then ultimately published. So grief is the great equalizer. I say this all the time. I forget exactly who said it, but grief is the price of love, and it is. So if you go through life and you don't love anyone, and you outlive anyone who you have a little feeling for, then perhaps you won't be touched by grief or grapple with it. But most people are going to endure it, and it's something to be reckoned with. I've gone through it myself, and then I've also gone through it as a parent, for my kids, and it's really incredibly difficult and should be discussed more. People are afraid of grief like it's cooties, they just often ignore it, and that's just the wrong thing to do.
No, that's an amazing quote. And I have heard it before, and I did just look it up. Colin Murray Parks, 1928. The pain of grief is just as much a part of life as the joy of love. It is perhaps the price we pay for love, the cost of commitment. We all go through grief. My goodness, we're all born heading for death. And that's something that we look forward to, that we look forward to, whether we like it or not. But what we can do is be like your mom and just live your life, have fun, smile. I see a big smile in your face, even through all the grief, all the trials and tribulations that you've been through, still smiling, still getting through it. Okay. Yeah. Don't, what is it? Don't be mad because it happened. There's more quotes on that. Be happy because it, whatever. You get what I'm getting at.
Yes. Don't be mad, because something happened. Be grateful that you experienced it. And I'm paraphrasing.
Oh, for sure.
So it's all about perspective and, shifting focus as best you can. And that's not to say, some days if you want to curl up in the fetal position and eat some pizza or whatever it is to help you cope, it's all good with me. I get it. Just don't stay there for too long. Don't stay in that position too long. Give yourself time to mourn and be gentle with yourself, but don't stay in that space for too long. Well, because there's a lot to live for.
Speaking of stars, and that's the reason I use the background. For the people that are listening to the audio version, check out the video version. I put stars in the background, just kind of give you the mood that we're in. But, I'm a fan, speaking of stars, of NASA. And I just recently learned, not too recently, but over the last few years, that they don't call it failure when things go wrong. It's your first attempt at success. And I think that goes throughout the military or paramilitary situations. But I like that idea. First attempts at success. You're feeling blue. You didn't make that high jump. You didn't get a good grade on that social studies report. It's just your first attempt at success. You'll get it. You'll get through it. And these are the subject matters that you're doing. You're helping kids to find find the happy in the sad. And that's an amazing superpower. No, I don't see the cape, but I'm pretty sure it's out there. It's there somewhere.
Yeah, listen, I'm perfectly imperfect, and I've tucked and rolled through many of the mistakes in my life. Something that comes to mind, I was an anchor reporter for years, and the first time I ever got on air, I was an absolute disaster. I just, for some reason, could not, spit out a sentence. I was trying to basically produce the newscast and write it and then anchor it, and I had zero experience, so it was just an overwhelming prospect. And I got off the set and I said, I'm done. They're going to just day one. See you later.
Wait a minute.
But I got off the set, and the news director said to me, he didn't say anything about my performance, which shocked me. He talked about my hair and that I needed to cut my hair, which was, I'm like, okay. So that means my performance at all was completely, it was disastrous. It was not memorable, but it propelled me forward. I'm like, I'm going to make the next one memorable. And if that one isn't memorable in a good way, not in a bad way, but memorable in a good way, and if it's not, then I'm going to continue on. And just every single day, and it was painful. Really painful. I kept getting out there, but ultimately got better and better. And that's life. You just have to persevere.
Well, people don't know. And once again, you're giving gems. You're teaching people the entertainment business, especially when you're in front of the camera doing that kind of work. You could be hired and fired for the way you look. And that is a thing. And if you're not blonde enough, you're not brunette enough, you're not Asian enough, you're not brown enough, you're not Spanish enough. We need this demographic, so we need this type of person. We need a heavyset guy. Al Roker, I think his career has gone downhill since he got thinner. I'm glad he got thinner. I'm glad he got healthier. But when he was a big dude, he that big, happy, robust, happy dude. And that, now he's a little thinner. He looked kind of weird to me. But that's in front of the camera. You can be hired or fired. for the way you look and just cutting your hair. Hey, you should cut that hair. And I've heard tell of here's a prescription to the local gym. Go lose a few pounds. I mean, has that ever happened to you in front of the working in front of the camera?
Oh, for me, it was the hair. I got off the set and I thought that was just such superficial, like sad assessment. But then maybe all he could think about was, well, I'll give her something to do that might improve her existence here on air. But he wanted my hair cut at least to my shoulders, and it was longer. But it really motivated me and made me determined to ensure that I would be judged, not just on appearance like that, but that of substance. And, ultimately I got there, but I did have to cut my hair.
Well, see, I guess we all have to do things for our jobs, but yes, the entertainment business, my goodness, you're trying to get into a movie, you have to look a certain way, you have to fit a certain mold, you have to. Now, when you said you were doing reporting, were you out on the streets, or you said you did anchor that was behind the desk?
I did both, actually. I was a health reporter. I was an entertainment reporter. I did, man on the street interviews. I interviewed everyone from the Goo Goo Dolls to Hillary Clinton to John McCain. I've done a significant amount of reporting in my day, but then also did the cut-ins during Good Morning America. So they would, come to me in the local market, and I would just give updates on what was going on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I worked terrestrial radio down in Miami, number 12 market, I guess is what it is down there. And I'd have tell to where I'd have to go on a red carpet with my little recorder and go record these people as they were walking down the carpet, and maybe take a few pictures with them as well, put them on our little website. But it's a lot of fun. It's very interesting work. But, you do get better and better. People that think they want to quit the first day, such as yourself, it's good that you had a boss that was behind you at least a little bit.
I did not want to quit. I am not a quitter.
Oh, okay. You said that's it.
I didn't like his assessment. No, I didn't like his assessment that he didn't. I would have been happier if he actually said, listen, if you want this job, you're going to have to be able to actually speak. You're going to have to talk in sentences. You can't be disjointed. You have to overcome your nerves or whatever. I would have been happier if he had given some constructive criticism, as opposed to, yeah, listen, I just need you to cut your hair and an appointment's been made for you. It can't be below your collar. So I was like, oh, that, to me, the value or the focus was on the wrong thing at that juncture. But I'm absolutely the most driven person who does not quit. So.
Well, forgive my misunderstanding. I must have misunderstood something in the beginning. But, did you go to school for journalism or broadcasting or any of that or writing or English or journal, anything? What did you go to school for?
Communications major at Hofstra University in New York. I minored in social science, and I graduated, thinking I would go to law school. And I got into law school, and I, told my parents, took the LSATs, got into law school, did all this work. And my dad's like, congratulations, that's fantastic. Good luck paying the loans. I was like, what do you mean? You're not going to help me with the loans? And he's like, no. So then I had to really think about, how bad do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to go into that amount of debt? Is it really that big of, kind of a light focus for me? And ultimately I decided it was not. And I, did a complete 180. I'm like, well, I always wanted to be a news reporter, so I did that.
That is so sad about the education. You should have been able to become a reporter. I'm thinking about, Grandpa, when in his day, when he was going to school, he would get a part-time job, go to college, full-time, get a part-time job. And by the time he was out of college, he pretty much was paid all his college. It was when the government started subsidizing school. The tuition kept going up and up and up and up. You should be a lawyer. I don't want free health care. I want affordable health care. I want it to be
Well, I'm
affordable.
really glad I'm not a lawyer, though, I have to say. I think I would like studying law, but not really practicing law. So it was almost, serendipitous, that my dad was like, yeah, full stop here. I'm not paying for law school. And it really made me examine how bad I wanted that.
Well, I mean, you could have been that kind of a writer where you write about the law. You still might have followed the pursuit of writing books and novels and what have you, and gone that route. But hey, I'm glad you are where you are. I'm glad that you've written things for the kids. The children are our future. You are taking your loving hands and guiding them through not only your own two children, and that's fantastic. Now, the bonus child, I guess that came with another marriage. Is that what a bonus child is, or how did that come about?
Yes, yes. So I mean, this was a long time ago. This was my son's father, who's since passed away. But yeah, I met her when she was 8, and she's now 25. So like I said, I've been at it for quite some time.
Well,
even though my son's only 12, but.
Yeah, but that's great that she had you to help her through. You did it firsthand for her, and now you're doing it for so many other children, helping them through their grief, through your writing, through your, that's inspiring. You're taking your hardships, you're taking you're succeeding.
I had this amazing thing happen recently where I was just, looking through Facebook as I normally do, sometimes at 3 a.m. I don't know. But anyway, sleeping is not always easy. So I was scrolling through and I just saw that an organization in Massachusetts dedicated 19 copies of my book, Goodnight Star, Whoever You Are, to Uvalde in honor and in memory of the children lost there. And I was just so beyond. That was like why I do what I do. As a writer, all you want to do is connect to people who need to hear what you have to say. And I think that, we are all in different spaces and different junctures in life, but at certain times, and I could name so many, emails and just posts that I've received in life, like throughout all of my writing, where, someone said, this really, I needed to hear this today, or, this message, or what you went through and how transparent and real you are. It really kind of gave me the strength to talk more about how I feel. That's what motivates me to keep writing. I absolutely adore that feeling, and I can't imagine ever stopping.
Well, once again, this internet can be used for good. You've written these words down. You put them in book form. They were edited, compiled. You threw them out into the ether, and it's nice to have that feedback, because these become your babies too, just like a songwriter, like a screenwriter. And these become your babies. Yeah, you make them for the love because you feel you have to, but it's nice to get some feedback, and if it helps out those children in Uvalde, any little bit, because they've gone through some horrors themselves. There's so many horrible things in this world, and if you can shine a light and give them a little bit of hope, so good on you. Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Facebook page.
Facebook too is Andy Grammer, the multi-platinum singer-songwriter. Andy Grammer wrote a really compelling foreword for Goodnight Star, Whoever You Are. He's actually been quite vocal with his own grief, losing his mother at a young age, not as young as my son, but he was, I believe, in his early 20s when he lost his mom. So we were able to connect, and he wrote a really compelling foreword about how grief takes, different, it ebbs and flows, and it looks different, depending on the day. Like I said earlier, some days you may be curling up in the fetal position. Other days you may be laughing and kind of reminiscing about a story or a memory that, connects you forever to the person that you've lost. the person who died. Some people in the grief community don't really like using that term, losing. But anyway, that, that connectivity really spoke to him. And I was so honored that he provided such a compelling forward for this title.
Well, people often use their beliefs, gone over to the other side, went to heaven, became a part of the stars, where it went back to energy form. There's many different ways that people will express the same thing. He's no longer with us, okay? She's no longer with us. And it's sad for the ones that she's left behind. That we are the ones that are left here to deal with the grief of not having that great person that we used to count on, that we used to talk to quite often and get lots of insight from. Yeah, it's the grief is not, it's not for them. They're done with this world. They've shed this mortal coil, as it were. It's us that needs the help with grief, and that's what you do. There's your superpower right there. You're not just helping kids learn about how they were in mommy's belly. How did I get in mommy's belly? But also, hey, what happened when grandma died? Well, how can I deal with that? As I used to love grandma. I used to love going over there and learning how to crochet and whittle wood and whatever grandpas and grandmas teach you, because they do teach you a lot of things, kids. Love your grandmas, love your grandpas.
Even pets. I mean, any shift, I am absolutely one who loves my dog. I often call her my favorite child on the daily. She does not talk back or give me any attitude. So, but yeah, any real significant, death in a child's life, this just gives them an outlet. It's kind of an imaginative point of view. I'm not telling them, oh, that's your parent here. I'm just, more giving them inspiration to think beyond, like the totally tangible reality, and thinking of ways that they can still remain connected to their loved one. And, the way that they live on in their hearts and minds, and they're a part of them, even though you don't see them every single day. But I'm not, kind of force feeding them into different ideals, and it's certainly not like religious or anything oriented like that at all. It's more of an imaginative point of view. And at the end of both of my books, there's a special area to write about in Goodnight Star, whoever you are, to write about your loved one, any memories you may have. There's an area, and then also in When You Lived in My Belly, there's an area for the mom to pen a note to their children or child about their own individual pregnancy journey, because obviously it differs significantly.
I fully believe you're a great mama. You're doing the job, and here your kids, your children, are your muses. They're the inspiration ultimately for the books. Mommy, what was it like in your belly? Bam, let me write a book about it. Hey, I'm having some trouble getting through this death that I've gone through. Here's a book about it. They're the muses, the inspirations are your children. That's where you're getting it from. Who knows where that next muse is going to be? I mean, is there thoughts of another book? I mean, that's always so funny. Is you took this time out. 2019, you wrote this book. 2021, you wrote another book. Okay, what's next? Oh, they consumed. They ate that book. They loved it. What's next? What's on the horizon?
So I'm actually working on two different things. I'm working on a memoir. This is for adults because, like I said, I'm rooted in realism and rooted in adult writing, for lack of a better term. I started out writing for really, it was for other moms at the beginning of my career. Prior to that, I'm saying after I was a reporter, I really started writing. That was like an escape for me when I had my son, and I took a little time off, which I'm not the type of person, as we discussed earlier, who really vacations a lot or rests easy. I'm just always on the go. But I did know that I was only going to have one biological son or, child. And so I took the first couple of years off, and that's when I launched my blog. And I started this whole different career of writing. So anyway, I am rooted in that, and I definitely have an audience for it. So I'm writing that, and I also want to challenge myself. I've been dabbling in screenwriting as well, because I have a movie in my head that I'm trying to get out on paper, and there will be another children's book, because everything, it has to come in threes. So there will be another children's book.
Well, you're in a good spot. You're a hop, skip, and a jump from Disney Studios, and another hop, skip, and a jump from Atlanta, where every television show seems to be getting made right now. So, maybe movies as well. So you might get involved with Tyler Perry or the Walking Dead people, whoever's out there, and just like
Listen, Tyler,
I think it's only what's that? Say that again.
Give me a call. Yeah, no, I am a total dreamer, and like I said, do not sit still. So I have, always have kind of multiple tabs open in my brain. But I did challenge myself that I actually do want to write a memoir, and I am writing it. I'm in the process of writing it. So that is happening. And we'll see how far I get on the screenplay, but I just have this great idea for a film, and I have been putting the feelers out because I do know a bunch of people in the industry, and I certainly can write, but it's a completely different way of writing that I'm not familiar with. So it'll be a challenge, but I'm up for it.
Well, Andy Grammer, so the scores is set. How did you get involved with Andy Grammer? That guy's amazing.
So I wouldn't say Andy and I are besties or anything. Okay. Don't spread that rumor. But, it's interesting. So my son attends a camp called Experience Camp, and it's for children who have lost a parent or a sibling. It's just an incredible camp. They invite everyone together, and they introduce them to each other, and they give them this incredible week of typical camp activities, but grief work is threaded throughout. And Andy Grammer, during COVID, they could only have it virtually. He wound up putting on a concert for experience camps, and they gave an opportunity for some children to ask questions of Andy Grammer. And my kid is personality plus. He asked him a question and then offered to play drums for him on tour, because he plays the drums, and he's just a memorable little dude. It is what it is. So I use that, first of all, his personal experience with grief and just how he gets it. And he's trying to move the needle as well. Some people, like I said, they just really shy away from talking about it, and he's not one of those. So I wound up reaching out to his people. I actually, at the time, I did have someone helping me too. And then we wound up connecting, and he wrote this beautiful foreword for the book that really just added so much to it.
That's great.
And I'm really grateful.
Oh my goodness. All right. I know I've taken some of your time. You've given shout outs, especially to Andy Grammer and a couple other people throughout this podcast. And I like when people give credit where credit is due. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. I want to give a shout out myself to Antonio Lumley, Mr. Brooke Brax himself. That guy's writing about, also children's books, Brooke and Brax, about bullying, about getting through life in the inner city streets, and really anywhere, not just these streets, but everywhere. Kids are terrible, when they get at certain ages. They'll point out any flaw, anything that's out of the ordinary, and just pick at it and pick until you break. Either you start punching or you go home crying. So that bullying. Thank you, Antonio Lumley, for that. But putting us together.
We go way back, obviously. Tony and I, I've known him since middle school. So he's doing incredible work. a lot of the work that he's doing to, heighten awareness and understanding of the impact of bullying and empowering kids, giving them different ways to feel confident in themselves, and, kind of giving validity to the fact that we are diverse, and that's the beauty in our population, is that we're so diverse and we all have something to contribute. So yeah, he's fantastic.
All right, that's shout out number one. Any other shout outs for people that have helped you along the way as you've gone through this journey from child to reporter to author to beyond?
Well, of course, my parents and my kids, they are my daily source of inspiration and frustration, but I adore them. I absolutely love them more than I could ever possibly convey. So they are definitely, the center of my world.
You say the 12-year-old's a drummer. He's going to be a rock star? Is that what it is? Is that what the goal is?
He plays the drums, he likes hockey, he likes history. I mean, he's like a budding mayor. Who knows? He's really funny kid, though. I will say he's got shtick. So, and my bonus daughter is an occupational therapist. So she's already so accomplished.
That was one of my first loves. I started working in the hospital in my 20s, I was a firefighter, but then I also worked in the ER, and I thought about doing occupational therapy. I think that's a great thing, is helping people back to their lives. I remember at Baptist Hospital in Miami, if I remember right, they had a place for occupational therapy. There was like a mock bedroom and a mock grocery store and mock things that every day you would take for granted as a fully able-bodied person, but to help people into that occupation, that's a wonderful thing. But then again, playing the drums, not too shabby. Being the rhythm section, you got two good kids there. You're giving them the tools that they need for their toolbox, and that's a great thing. That's all we can do as parents, right?
Most importantly, they're both like kind-hearted, good souls, like just good humans. And above all, that's what I want to deliver to the world, is just good, solid human beings who care about the world and their place in it, and, are funny too. I mean, makes the world go round. So I'm doing pretty well on that front.
Well, I mean, that's what we're here for.
And I also have to give one more shout out to my best friends from kindergarten, Jodi Kamara, for illustrating both of my books. Her talent is just beyond extraordinary. She absolutely brings the vision to life, and the books would be nothing without her. She's incredible.
Jodi Meltzer, that says a lot about you, is you have these long-lasting relationships, these long-lasting friendships. I have one friend that I've known since '84. That's back in the 1900s for you kids out there. We've known each other since high school. Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. '82. We met each other in '82, and we're still besties today. And it's good to keep.
I met her in '78, so we've been friends my entire life, basically. A solid 45 years we've been friends.
You're a star. That's fantastic.
I'm stalking 50 years old.
What's that?
I'm going to be 50. I said because I'm stalking 50 years old. Flirting with 50, they say, but I say stalking. So I'll be 50, so I'm dating myself with the 45-year friendship, but she's a pretty extraordinary person.
Well,
I'll keep her.
Before I was 50, I was very shy about telling people my age. People would go, "Oh, you look 30." I'm 45. I'd have that in the back of my head. But then as soon as I turned 50, I went Molly Shannon on everybody. I'm 50. I can kick and stretch and kick. I'm 50, and now I'm 53, and I'm still loving it, doing great. And I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I want, as things progress, as you write new things, I want you to come back and chit chat with me some more. But, if you want, I already let people know your website, but you could say it again. I found all your social medias, but I did not find your blog, if you're still doing that.
Yep. So everything is on jodimeltzer.com. And if you forget Meltzer, it's Seltzer with an M. It's very easy to remember. There you go.
No,
So
very.
Jodi Meltzer with an M.com. And you can also just Google my name, and there's multiple articles, like I said, on many publications, and I'm constantly writing new stuff. So, and there it's housed also on jodimeltzer.com.
Okay. Well, cool. I'll have everything in the show notes
And of course,
below.
my books can be found everywhere, like Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I mean, anywhere books are sold, you can find When You Lived in My Belly and Goodnight Star, whoever you are.
Well, let's talk about a little bit, a small bit about the business part. Is how are people getting paid for their books? How is there a better place to buy your books? 'Cause I have some authors and even musicians that say go straight to my website, send me a message, I will sell you the book myself. That's best because as much as I love Amazon and Barnes and Noble and going through those stores at Barnes and Noble, I could spend all day in there trying to find those gems. Ooh, I gotta have that book. I gotta have that book. But are they paying the authors? Are you able to make a living on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you buy direct from an author, the author gets more money, but you also want your book to register on these sites, So sales are important, I think, personally, everywhere. Like both of my books, I was fortunate enough that, and with some hard work too, but both of my books debuted #1 in their categories on Amazon, and that definitely gave me a significant push as when the books were launched. So I think that there's just value in buying books, period. Don't forget how important they are, and sometimes you can really connect with someone through a book that you otherwise might not be able to have a certain conversation, but you read a book together and it really can create some meaningful conversation.
Well, obviously, you get thought of enough to where people are using your books to help people through grief and through other situations. That these tough situations like the one in Uvalde. That's amazing that they thought enough of you to do that.
Really.
And yeah, I can tell it makes you feel really good and it gives you a sense of pride and that's deserved, well deserved. All right,
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I do want to let you go. This I don't want. This won't be the last time we talk, but I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Jodi Meltzer, give the last words for the people.
Well, I will have to say, in the spirit of my mom, if you're going through hell, keep going. Don't worry about something until you have something to worry about. These are the core lessons of life. Just keep it all in perspective. And, no day lasts forever, right? And you've gotten through all of the days so far, and you'll continue to get through the rest of them. So just keep an open mind and an open heart, and it eventually will all work out.
Well, there you have it, party people. Jodi Meltzer. What a nice lady. Oh, my goodness. She's got 2 books out, one written in 2019, When You Lived in My Belly. And that's pretty cool. The synopsis, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but the synopsis says she's done some research on answering that questions. That question that kids often do ask their parents, where did I come from? And if that's a lot of kids, a lot of parents don't know how to answer that question. And I'm glad that Jodi Meltzer took the time out to research it. I mean, she's a mom herself. She had the baby, and she had some of that information in her hip pocket, and then she went further and made sure that she put it in form that was consumable for a child. And then Good Night Star, whoever you are, inspired once again by her children to find out what that star in the sky that's following you around is Is it grandma? Is it grandpa? Is it Aunt Molly that we don't see anymore because she's gone from this earthly existence, shed this mortal coil? How do you say passed away? I'd like to hear some comments on that. I think you've sparked some questions, Jodi Meltzer, and I encourage you to drop some comments below, or hey, slip into Jodi Meltzer's DMs, business only, and talk to her, and maybe you can inspire her, or and let her know how she's inspired you with her writings. That's how authors and creatives in general have the courage to keep going when they have feedback, and I like that. I've been DJing since 1986. Professionally anyway. Even before that, I did little house parties and some of my kid parties with my little record player, and took my records and in my wagon around the block and did a bunch of parties for the kids. But it's nice to know that I'm able to do the job, and people still say, "That was a great job. Why don't you come and do this party for me or this event for me?" And it's nice to be told as an author, "You did a good job. You inspired me. You made me think. You got me through a tough time." So thank you, Jodi Meltzer, for using your children's inspiration to write these books. That was fantastic. Thank you, Jodi Meltzer, for being on the program. What makes you famous? That's it for this edition. Now, if you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.